If you want to understand the boundaries of the universe, you must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Welcome to Nikola Tesla Files. The night the world almost changed forever. Colorado Springs, July 3rd, 1899. Thunder rumbles across the darkening sky, but it's not the approaching storm that has the townspeople staring in wonder and fear. Something impossible is happening at the strange laboratory on the edge of town. Light bulbs are glowing, not just a few, but hundreds of them, scattered across fields, sitting on fence posts, held in the hands of bewildered residents. All of them burning bright without a single wire connecting them to anything. And at the center of this electrical miracle stands Nikola Tesla, his eyes blazing with the fervor of a man who has just touched the face of God. He's done it. He's actually done it. He's transmitted electrical power through the earth itself, lighting bulbs over a mile away without any physical connection whatsoever. But what the townspeople watching this impossible display don't understand, what even Tesla himself doesn't fully grasp in that moment, is that they're witnessing the death of a dream. Because powerful forces are already moving in the shadows, preparing to ensure that what happened in Colorado Springs that night would never, ever be allowed to happen again. This is the story of how humanity almost became free, and how that freedom was stolen from us. The moment of revelation. Tesla's obsession with wireless electricity didn't begin with scientific calculation. It began with a vision so clear, so powerful, that it would haunt him for the rest of his life. Walking through Budapest City Park in 1882, reciting Goethe's Faust as the sun set in brilliant colors, Tesla suddenly stopped mid-sentence. His companion later described how Tesla's body went rigid, his eyes unfocused, as if he was seeing something that existed in a dimension beyond normal perception. "Watch me," Tesla whispered. "Watch me reverse it." Using a stick, he began drawing frantically in the dirt. Diagrams, equations, rotating fields of force. In those few minutes of inspired genius, Tesla conceived the complete design of the alternating current motor that would revolutionize the world. But he saw something else in that vision, something even more profound. He saw electricity flowing through the air like invisible rivers. He saw the earth itself as a vast electrical conductor, pulsing with energy that could be tapped anywhere, by anyone. He saw a world where energy was as free and abundant as sunlight, where poverty and scarcity were abolished because the fundamental force that powered civilization was available to all without cost or restriction. It was beautiful, it was revolutionary, and it was completely incompatible with the economic order that was taking shape in the industrializing world. But Tesla didn't understand that yet. In 1882, he was still young enough to believe that a good idea would always triumph simply because it was good. By 1899, he was about to learn how naive that belief had been. The Colorado Springs Laboratory, Cathedral of Light. When Tesla arrived in Colorado Springs in May 1899, he wasn't just planning to conduct experiments. He was preparing to prove to the world that his vision of wireless electricity was not only possible but practical and ready for immediate implementation. The laboratory he constructed was unlike anything that had ever existed. From the outside, it looked like a massive barn crowned with a peculiar tower. But inside was a technological temple that would have seemed like magic to anyone who didn't understand the principles Tesla was working with. The centerpiece was a massive magnifying transmitter, a Tesla coil so large that its copper coil wrapped around the entire interior of the building. When activated, This device could generate voltages in the millions, creating electrical fields so powerful that the very air would ionize and glow. But the true genius of Tesla's system wasn't in the building, it was beneath it. Tesla had driven a metal shaft deep into the earth, creating what he called a terrestrial connection. This wasn't just a ground wire. It was a conductor that would allow him to pump electrical energy directly into the planet itself, using the Earth as a transmission medium. Tesla's theory was elegant and revolutionary. The Earth, he had discovered, wasn't just a ball of rock floating in space. It was a spherical conductor with unique electrical properties. The surface of the Earth and the ionosphere above it formed what was essentially a giant capacitor, two conductive surfaces separated by the atmosphere. More importantly, this Earth-ionosphere cavity resonated at specific frequencies, what we now call Schumann resonances. If you could generate electrical oscillations at these exact frequencies, the entire planet would act as a resonator, amplifying your signal and making it detectable anywhere on Earth. But Tesla realized something even more profound. If you could make the Earth resonate electrically, you could also draw energy from that resonance. The planet itself could become a wireless power distribution system, with transmitters pumping energy in at one location and receivers extracting it anywhere else. It was, in every sense, too good to be true, which is exactly why it had to be destroyed. The experiments that shook reality. Tesla's Colorado Springs diary reads like a combination of rigorous scientific observation and mystical revelation. Night after night, he pushed his equipment to ever greater extremes, generating electrical effects that had never been witnessed in human history. On one memorable occasion, Tesla generated artificial lightning bolts over 130 feet long, the longest electrical arcs ever created at that time. The thunder from these discharges could be heard 15 miles away. People reported that the grass around the laboratory glowed with an eerie blue light. Horses in fields nearly a mile distant shocked their riders with static electricity powerful enough to be painful. But the lightning shows, spectacular as they were, weren't the point. They were merely side effects of what Tesla was really doing, tuning the Earth itself to resonate at specific frequencies. And it worked. Beyond Tesla's wildest expectations, it worked. On the night of July 3rd, Tesla achieved something that should have changed human civilization forever. He transmitted electrical power through the Earth with such efficiency that he could light 200 incandescent bulbs over a mile away from his laboratory. No wires, no losses due to resistance, just pure, clean energy flowing through the planet as if it were a living conductor designed specifically for this purpose. Witnesses described an almost supernatural scene. Across the darkened landscape, light bulbs burst into brilliance, illuminating the night. Not just bulbs that Tesla had placed. Any incandescent bulb within range of his transmissions would glow, drawing power from the electrical field he had created. But here's what makes this achievement truly staggering. Tesla wasn't transmitting power in the conventional sense. He wasn't broadcasting energy that diminished with distance like radio waves. He was creating a standing wave in the Earth itself, a resonance that could theoretically be detected with equal strength anywhere on the planet. This meant that a single transmitter, properly designed and positioned, could provide wireless electricity to the entire world. Not just a city, not just a country, the entire planet could draw free energy from a single source. Tesla had done it. He had actually solved the problem of energy distribution. He had made it possible for every home, every factory, every village on Earth to have access to unlimited electrical power without wires, without fuel, without cost. It should have been the greatest moment in human history. Instead, it was the beginning of the end. The letter that changed everything. In December 1899, Tesla received a letter that initially seemed like the answer to his prayers. J.P. Morgan, one of the richest and most powerful financiers in the world, expressed interest in funding Tesla's wireless electricity project. Morgan offered $150,000, worth millions in today's currency, to build a wireless transmission facility on Long Island. Tesla was ecstatic. Finally, someone with the resources and vision to bring his dream to reality. But there was something in Morgan's letter that Tesla, in his enthusiasm, failed to fully comprehend. Morgan wasn't interested in wireless electricity for the benefit of humanity. He was interested in wireless telegraphy, radio communication that could compete with Marconi's system. Morgan saw Tesla's technology as a way to monopolize global communications and make a fortune in the process. What he absolutely did not want was a system that would provide free electricity to everyone on Earth, destroying the power generation and distribution monopolies that formed the foundation of his industrial empire. Tesla, brilliant as he was with electricity, was hopelessly naive about business and politics. He took Morgan's money and began construction of Wardenclyffe Tower, believing he could convince his patron of the superiority of wireless electricity once the system was operational. It was a fatal miscalculation. Wardenclyffe, the Tower of Broken Dreams. The Wardenclyffe Tower that rose on the shores of Long Island between 1901 and 1902 was meant to be the first of many worldwide wireless power stations. At 187 feet tall, crowned with a massive copper dome, it was designed not just to broadcast signals, but to pump electrical energy into the Earth on a scale that would dwarf the Colorado Springs experiments. Tesla's plan was breathtaking in scope. He envisioned a network of towers around the world, each one transmitting power into the Earth's electrical system. Anyone with a properly tuned receiver, a device larger than a clock, could draw power from this global grid. Unlimited, clean energy, available to everyone, everywhere, for free. The implications were staggering. No more coal-fired power plants choking cities with smoke. No more power lines cutting through landscapes. No more energy poverty in remote regions. The entire industrial civilization could be powered cleanly and efficiently through a system that worked in harmony with the Earth's own electrical nature. But as Wardenclyffe neared completion, J.P. Morgan began to understand what Tesla was really building. And he was horrified. Morgan controlled Edison's power companies. He had invested millions in electrical generation and distribution infrastructure. He had built an empire on the principle that energy was a commodity to be metered, sold, and controlled. Tesla's wireless electricity system threatened to make all of that worthless overnight. How do you sell electricity when anyone can pull it freely from the air? How do you maintain monopoly control over an energy system that by its very nature can't be restricted or regulated? How do you profit from a technology specifically designed to make energy free? The answer, from Morgan's perspective, was simple: you kill it. The funding stops. A dream suffocates. In 1903, Morgan cut off all funding to the Wardenclyffe project. His stated reason was that Tesla had failed to deliver on his promises for wireless telegraphy. But internal correspondence that surfaced decades later revealed the true motivation. Morgan had learned that Tesla intended Wardenclyffe to be a wireless power transmission station. More alarmingly, he discovered that Tesla's system would work, that wireless electricity wasn't a fantasy, but an achievable reality that could be operational within years. Morgan's response was to use his influence to ensure that no other financier would support Tesla. Word went out through the network of banks and investment houses that controlled America's capital. Tesla was a poor risk, his ideas were impractical fantasies, and anyone who funded him would regret it. One by one, Tesla's potential backers disappeared. Meetings were canceled. Promises were broken. Doors that had once opened eagerly to the famous inventor suddenly slammed shut. Tesla, who had never been particularly astute about money, found himself increasingly desperate. He tried to secure funding from other sources, approaching foreign governments, offering to demonstrate his system for the military, even attempting to sell off some of his patents to raise cash. Nothing worked. The financial establishment had decided that Nikola Tesla and his dangerous ideas about free energy had to be neutralized, and they had the power to make that happen. By 1905, work on Wardenclyffe had stopped. The tower stood silent and incomplete, a monument to humanity's lost opportunity. Tesla continued to hope for a miracle that would allow him to finish his project. But the miracle never came. In 1917, the tower was demolished, sold for scrap to pay Tesla's debts. The man who had given the world alternating current, the induction motor, and radio technology watched as his greatest dream was reduced to rubble and twisted metal. But the destruction of Wardenclyffe didn't end the story of wireless electricity. It just drove it underground. The technology that won't die. Here's the thing about good ideas. They're remarkably hard to kill. You can defund them, discredit them, and demolish the laboratories where they were born. But if the underlying principle is sound, someone, somewhere will eventually rediscover it. Throughout the 20th century, researchers around the world have successfully demonstrated wireless power transmission using Tesla's principles. The effects are real, reproducible, and increasingly well understood from a theoretical perspective. In the 1960s, William C. Brown demonstrated wireless power transmission for NASA, successfully powering a helicopter in flight using microwave beams. The technology worked flawlessly, proving that wireless electricity was not only possible but practical. In 2007, researchers at MIT demonstrated Wi-tricity, wireless electricity transmission using magnetic resonance. They successfully powered a 60-watt light bulb from a distance of 7 feet with 40% efficiency. Not as dramatic as Tesla's Earth resonance system, but proof that the fundamental concept was sound. Today, wireless charging has become commonplace for smartphones and other devices. Inductive charging pads use principles that Tesla pioneered over a century ago. The technology is everywhere, yet it remains deliberately limited, short-range, low-power, carefully controlled. Why? Because allowing wireless electricity to develop to its full potential would still threaten the same power structures that killed Tesla's dream in 1903. Energy companies, utility monopolies, and the entire infrastructure of metered electrical distribution would become obsolete if true long-range wireless power transmission became widely available. The technology exists. The principles are proven. We could have wireless electricity tomorrow if we chose to develop it. But we don't choose to develop it for the same reasons Morgan chose to destroy Wardenclyffe Tower. Free energy is dangerous, not because it doesn't work, but because it threatens the profits of those who profit from scarcity. The modern suppression. You might think that in today's world, with climate change and energy crises making headlines, wireless electricity would be embraced as a solution. Clean, unlimited power available everywhere. What's not to love? But here's what happens when modern researchers try to develop Tesla-style wireless power systems. Patents get bought up by shell corporations and buried. Promising startups suddenly lose their funding. Research that shows positive results gets dismissed as experimental error, and scientists who persist in developing wireless power technology find their careers mysteriously derailed. It's not a conspiracy in the traditional sense, no shadowy cabal meeting in smoke-filled rooms. It's something more insidious. An entire economic system structured around the principle that energy must be scarce, metered, and controlled. Any technology that threatens that principle automatically triggers immune responses from the system itself. Consider the case of Dr. Eugene Malov, a brilliant physicist who was researching alternative energy technologies including wireless power transmission. In 2004, he was murdered under circumstances that remain suspicious. His research papers disappeared. His laboratory was broken into multiple times before his death. Or the case of Stanley Meyer, who claimed to have developed a water-powered car using principles related to Tesla's resonance theories. Meyer died suddenly in 1998 after a meeting with potential investors, claiming he had been poisoned. His equipment and research notes were seized and have never been seen again. Are these just coincidences? Perhaps. But there are dozens of similar cases. Researchers working on breakthrough energy technologies who die unexpectedly, have their work stolen, or simply disappear from the scientific scene. The pattern is clear. Wireless electricity remains as threatening today as it was in 1903. And the forces that killed it then are still working to keep it dead. What we've lost. Imagine a world where Tesla's vision had been allowed to flourish. A world where Wardenclyffe Tower became the first of many global power stations, transmitting clean electricity anywhere on Earth. No power plants belching carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. No nuclear waste accumulating in storage facilities. No power lines cutting through forests and landscapes. No energy poverty in developing nations. More profoundly, imagine the economic implications. When energy is free, the entire structure of industrial society changes. Manufacturing becomes cheaper. Transportation becomes affordable to everyone. The primary cause of international conflict, competition for energy resources, disappears. This isn't fantasy. This is the world Tesla was trying to give us. The technology was real, proven, ready to implement. We could have had this future. We were that close. Instead, we got a century of energy scarcity, environmental destruction, and wars fought over oil. We got climate change and air pollution and a power grid that's increasingly fragile and outdated. We got exactly the future that benefited energy monopolies and precisely the future that Tesla's vision would have prevented. The true cost of destroying Tesla's wireless electricity system isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in human suffering, environmental degradation, and lost opportunity. It's the cost of choosing profit over progress, scarcity over abundance, the path forward. But here's the thing, it's not too late. The principles Tesla discovered remain valid. The physics hasn't changed. We could still build a global wireless power system if we had the will to do it. Modern technology actually makes Tesla's vision more achievable than ever. Advanced materials, powerful computers for optimization, and sophisticated understanding of electromagnetic resonance could allow us to build wireless power systems far more efficient than anything Tesla could have managed with 1900s technology. The question isn't whether we can do it. The question is whether we will be allowed to do it. Whether we can overcome the economic and political forces that killed wireless electricity a century ago and continue to suppress it today. There are signs of hope. Decentralized technologies like solar panels and battery systems are slowly eroding the power of centralized energy monopolies. Cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies are demonstrating that decentralized, uncontrollable systems can exist and thrive despite opposition from traditional power structures. Perhaps most importantly, awareness is spreading. More people understand that the energy scarcity we experience isn't natural or inevitable. It's artificially maintained to preserve profit structures that benefit a few at the expense of everyone else. Tesla's dream of wireless electricity isn't dead. It's sleeping, waiting for the moment when humanity is finally ready to wake it. The choice before us. We stand now at a crossroads. Climate change is accelerating. Energy poverty affects billions. The centralized power grid grows more vulnerable every year. The problems that wireless electricity could solve are becoming more urgent and more visible. We can continue down the path we've been on for the past century, fighting over fossil fuels, building ever larger power plants, stretching transmission lines across continents. We can keep pretending that the answer to our energy problems is just more of what we're already doing. Or we can finally embrace the vision that Tesla offered us in 1899. We can acknowledge that wireless electricity is real, practical, and achievable. We can choose to build the clean, abundant energy future that should have been our birthright. The technology exists. The knowledge exists. The only thing missing is the will to overcome the forces that profit from our continued dependence on scarce, controlled energy. Tesla gave us the key to freedom. Whether we choose to use it is up to us. Remember his words. If you want to understand the boundaries of the universe, you must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. The universe is made of energy. That energy is everywhere, available to all. The only boundary is the one we allow others to place in our minds. The belief that energy must be scarce, must be controlled, must be purchased. Tesla showed us that this boundary is an illusion. The question is, are we brave enough to cross it? The light bulbs glowing wirelessly in Colorado Springs on that July night in 1899 weren't just a scientific achievement. They were a promise, a glimpse of the world we could have if we choose abundance over scarcity, freedom over control, Tesla's vision over Morgan's greed. That promise still stands. The choice is ours.